Yes, did you get the question?
No, I didn't hear you well.
I'm saying since you love your constituency so much, you are spending all this money and all of that, but that also means that even if you were to lose, you wouldn't, no wahala, right? No shaking because you love your constituency.
Not at all. I have been there for this party, and whether in opposition or in government, we support the party. So I'm a born and bred MPP. So regardless of the outcome, we are going to be there to support the party. But the bottom line is...
So your final comments in some 30 seconds. Reach out to your delegates. We have to go.
Well, this is a special appeal to the delegates. They know me. I have come to them. I have told them what I'm capable of doing. I have sold my vision to them, and I'm appealing to them that they should not disappoint. This is the time for them to bring Jumera. I have been there with them and all of that. I've supported this party ever since. There are people who are in the race. They have just joined. They should reward hard work. They should reward loyalty, and so that at least there will be that kind of a record in a dream where if you just come and you say you are from here, meanwhile you haven't stayed here and all of that, and you just come with, you say you have money, that kind of talk should cease. We should reward hard work so that the city, there will be development, so that the local people would have that kind of the needed support and development we are all seeking to bring on board. Right. So it's a special appeal. They should vote number 3. And number 3 is a divine number. God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
All right.
So I know God is on my side, and my God will speak.
Frank, thank you very much for joining the conversation. We wish you the very best as you seek to become the parliamentary candidate for the MPP in Birim. That is Frank Ahima Mreku. Come Saturday, he will be on the ballot. He says he's number 3, and he wants to get the nod of his people. Well, that's our recap of the conversation today. We've spoken about child malnutrition. I hope you didn't miss that one. We also had the conversation about the various labor unions and how they feel aggrieved about the different situations. Not in the least, 15% to be added on as VAT to electricity. And now, this bit. Well, from Sweetie Abochi and yours truly, we wish you the very best of the day. Catch us same time tomorrow. But up next, yes, it is Aisha Ibrahim with, Joy News Desk.
We've had news file over the weekend, and an interesting part of the conversation focused...
Oh no, we are out of range.
Oh, don't worry, Daddy. I have Alexa in my bag.
Alex what?
Alexa, open Multimedia Ghana and play Joy FM.
Super Hits Radio, Joy 99.7.
Listen to Joy FM, Hits FM, Love FM, live on your Amazon Echo. Listen to your favorite multimedia radio stations live on your Amazon Echo device by saying, Alexa, open Multimedia Ghana, play Joy FM or Hits FM or Love FM. Or catch up on your favorite podcast by saying, Alexa, play, and then the name of your favorite podcast from Multimedia Ghana. For a list of all podcasts available, say Alexa. Ask Multimedia Ghana to browse programs.
On air. And we are back like we never lost signal.
Alexa, welcome to Multimedia.
For crystal clear and thrilling podcasts and live shows, download and listen to us on Apple, Spotify, TuneIn, Google Podcasts, MyJoy Online, Amazon services like Echo, Amazon Music, and Audible, Stitcher, Adom Online, Overcast, and Pandora. Take note of everything. Sign up for the multimedia digital platforms now to stay updated.
It's time to get stepping, because if you upgrade your DSTV subscription now, we'll step you up to an even higher package.
Respect that.
Upgrade now and step up to even more action. Step up to more football. Step up to more local drama. Step up to more fun and get more than you pay for. Upgrade now and get boosted to the next package at no extra cost. Visit your multi-choice branch or agent and upgrade to Step Up and get boosted.
As for the marriage, you get the certificate before you get into the marriage. So you don't know what is ahead of you.
What would make your partner walk out of the relationship?
Probably when he finds me cheating. Oh,
so come on, if you do the body or what? What's his waist size?
It's in here. When I get home, I'll explain it.
What's my papa? 2 years old, 3 years old, and you can say, I can't pray.
And you want to go into politics? You want to go into politics? Not 5 years, not 5 years.
Right. If you love me right.
Good morning. Welcome to Joy News Desk. We're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemi. Coming up this morning, ACP Benjamin Agordzo's lawyer to pursue legal action to seek entitled benefits as he accuses the Attorney General of malicious prosecution.
Sue the state for compensation, but this case has always been frivolous against him from day one. We look at malicious prosecution and all the other causes of action.
We'll bring you details as the AG fights off claims a trial was targeted. Also this morning, Electricity Company of Ghana says it is practically impossible to implement the 15% value-added tax in its current form on electricity consumption as opposition to the directive grows. Plus, it's 24 hours to the NPP primaries and 12 women out of the 128 aspirants are contesting in the Ashanti region. How are they faring and what kind of support are they getting? We will tell you more. And sold the defibrillator in the Ifean Kwanta Hospital faulty, putting health workers in that facility under a lot of stress in the attempt to save patients who are in cardiac arrest. Details on today's episode of Sick Hospitals. We have business and details of all of these coming up shortly. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. To stay for details. Lawyer for acquitted police officer ACP Benjamin Agordzo, who was accused of plotting a coup, Martin Kpebu, says they will sue the state for malicious prosecution and compensation for falsely accusing his client of being a coup plotter. They were accused of plotting to kidnap the president and overthrow the government. After 3 years of trial, 6 of the accused, including 7 military officers, have been convicted and sentenced to death by hanging. Senior police officer ACP Agordzo and 2 others accused were acquitted and discharged by the court on Wednesday. Martin Kpebu says his client was only highlighting the economic hardships Ghanaians are going through.
And you see that from day one, Agordzo had always made it clear that, listen, he was just giving advice about how to get citizens active, the TAG group as an NGO to get active. And there was going to be a demonstration. Then he said, look, pass through the legal means. Because he said, look, conditions are ripe in Ghana for another spring. And you see, since the time he spoke, it's gotten worse. That was before COVID hit. And you are aware that when COVID hit, about 850,000 more of our fellow Ghanaians were pushed down into the, below the poverty line. So now more people are hungry, more people are out of jobs. You see, unemployment is gone through the roof. So these are the things he's talking about. Lack of food, unemployment, etc., the suffering of the masses. That's all that he said. So he said, look, if you are going to demonstrate on such matters, pass through the legal channels. That's all that he said. And yet the state wove a very frivolous case, frivolous to the highest degree, around his neck. And today you see the court has exonerated him. We'll sue the state for compensation. So this case has always been frivolous against him from day one. We look at malicious prosecution and all the other causes of action, because this case against Dr. Agordzo has always been frivolous to the highest degree from day one. And the Attorney General knows.
But Deputy Attorney General Alfred Kpebu thought of the claims as frivolous and urged the defense team to appeal if they disagree with the case.
The proceedings as in courts were quite irregular in the sense that the High Court proposed of state justice considered by leaders of the High Court, and that's in accordance with Article 19 of the Constitution. And the trial that was basically conducted by the prosecution. The trial, if you remember, started actually on a Saturday. Saturday on 24th April 2021, Saturday. Because the serious location, the Chief Justice of the Court put together that effort on that day and came to the trial. So we must commend the High Court for painstakingly conducting this trial. And actually, as we said, in the meticulous examination of the evidence, the judgment that lasted over 3 hours. And one that I think clearly finds its way into the records of law as far as examination is concerned. And again, I would reiterate that initially people thought that the whole thing was child's play. They were actually trying to block the attempt. But you saw the evidence that was led at the trial. Obvious evidence showing systematic attempts by people to organize the overthrow of the government of Ghana. It started from not only meetings, concerted efforts to put together arms and ammunition. They actually prepared arms and ammunition to that effect. So the trial that put on trial about 10 persons, 5 of them being military officers, and now being involved, and other military officers of various ranks, as well as a police officer, as well as one civilian who is part of the Ghana Armed Forces, Ghana civilian employee of the Ghana Armed Forces. So really the effort was quite systematic, it was very deliberate. The prosecution was able to establish clearly all the concerted efforts of the various persons, 6 of them were convicted. And I believe, of course, the first accused was also convicted of Kpebu, but it was actually the Ghana architect of Mosul. But for his timely demise, clearly I'm sure he was also convicted, and therefore 7 of them were actually that 6 out of the 9. For me, it sends a strong signal to the nation that any attempt at all to stabilize the nation, any attempt to organize the overthrow of the constitution will not be countenanced and will be taken quite seriously.
Lawyer for some of the convicted coup plotters, Victor Kojoga Dawudo, expressed his disappointment at the verdict. Listen.
I've spoken to them. I think one of my clients has been acquitted and discharged. I believe that the evidence we have put before this court, they hadn't critically looked at some of the cross-examination and evidence, some of the loopholes. And I think that is a process we would definitely be going to the Supreme Court for it to also look at the evidence. We believe that some of the charges, you saw the soldiers, it was conspiracy, but they've been acquitted on the substantive charge. So these are things that we will test. We will go to the Supreme Court and see. But I believe that looking at what we have put before this court, we have done it, and we will go to the Court of Appeal. Today is really, really a sad day because yes, because it's a sad day. If you even look, they even have an inventory when they arrested the people.
I've been joined by a lawyer for the acquitted police officer ACP Benjamin Agordzo, who for more. Now, I'm grateful for your time, Mr. Kpebu. The Deputy Attorney General has justified the keeping of ACP to assist, I beg your pardon, in investigating the matter. How then do you describe this as malicious?
It's because, Aisha, from day one, it was always clear that the state didn't have any case against ACP Agordzo. Yes, let's be very clear. The state never had a case against Agordzo. It was just a political witch hunt. This case against Agordzo was just put together to gag public officers that would speak against Akufo-Addo's misgovernance. Public officers who would speak against the bad governance that Akufo-Addo was pretending over. That's all that it was. Because let's go straight into the matter. What was the evidence against Agordzo? Okay, what's that platform? That the conditions in Ghana are ripe for an Arab Spring. That the conditions in Ghana are ripe for an Arab Spring. And when they tag people, tag means take action Ghana. When the tag NGO was preparing to go on a demonstration, he educated them the requirements under the Public Order Act, give 5 days notice, etc. to the police. That's all that he did. And then he also contributed 2,000 to the activities of TAG. It's an NGO. But Godfrey Dami and Akufo-Addo latched onto it to add Agordzo so that they will cow public officers. This case is about an assault, a brutal assault on Article 21 of our Constitution. So trying to say public officers should not speak about governance. That is what this case is about. But unfortunately for Akufo-Addo, he forgets that, he and Godfrey Dami, they forget that they came on the back of an Arab Spring. That was the message they preached. What's the Arab Spring? Yes, though literally started in Tunisia, right? But the young man who emulated himself, set himself ablaze, did so because there was unemployment, okay? People didn't find jobs, and so they couldn't buy food, hunger, etc. So that's the Arab Spring. What Agordzo said, that conditions in Ghana are ripe for an Arab Spring, it's a truism. Unemployment is beyond 15% in Ghana. High rent, people can't pay electricity bills. You see the 15%, that insensitive 15% they even want to add. So you see that people like Agordzo, if they hadn't spoken, our governance would have been worse. So Aisha, this case against Agordzo is a seminal constitutional law case, Article 21, freedom of speech of public officers. That is what this case represents. Yeah, so Agordzo is paid a dear price. He's paid very costly price because his career was destroyed. But well, in the democracy, that's what happens. From time to time, the tree of democracy is watered with the blood of patriots and villains alike. That's what Akufo-Addo and Godfrey Dami have done to Agordzo and his family.
Mr. Kpebu, so what next for your team? I mean, when are you looking at taking up the case on malicious prosecution, and if there are other cases you want to pursue?
Great. So I said, what we have to do is that naturally we have to, celebrate a bit and then let the excitement come down. Yes. No, it's sad. Yes, a very sad day, but there's also cause for celebration that the stress has come to an end. Then we'll get into working on the malicious prosecution case. That case has to go to court. It has to, because Akufo-Addo and Godfrey Dami have to be held accountable.
And what will you be seeking with that?
When we say malicious prosecution is a tort. When we say tort, T-O-R-T, it means a civil wrong. It's like assault. If somebody slaps you, this is touch wood, you can go to court for damages against the person. That's compensation, apart from you reporting to the police. Yes, so malicious prosecution is a tort in which if somebody reports you to the police, even when he knows there's no evidence against you, and breathes down the neck of the police, becomes their instructor and forces them to take you to court, and you win the criminal case, you can do malicious prosecution. in this case, it's not just the police, it's the Attorney General, Godfrey Dame, he and Akufo-Addo orchestrated it and made sure it went, even when they knew that there is no case against ACP Dr. Agordzo. So we have to do malicious prosecution to get compensation. So usually the court will give compensation for this unnecessary trial that Agordzo was taken through. Because Akufo-Addo came to office on the back of a message of Arab Spring. Ghana is facing an Arab Spring. Ghana is facing an Arab Spring. So only Akufo-Addo could take us out of it. So how do you come into office and a public officer is cautioning against Arab Spring and you rather take that person to court that for him is a coup d'etat? Then it means that John Mahama would have been right if he had caused the arrest of Akufo-Addo when he was in opposition. And
you have to meet all the elements of malicious prosecution. Do you have evidence that the Attorney General really was the one dictating to the prosecutors to actually prosecute this ACP?
Yes, Attorney General was in the case. Oh, he usually was there. Yes, he was there. Then sometimes they leave for the director of public prosecution to continue. But Attorney General Godfrey Dame has been spearheading this case from day one. Even the Friday afternoon, they were arrested, and then we had to go to court on a Saturday morning. Attorney General Godfrey Dame was the one leading. There are a number of occasions he was leading the prosecution. So from day one, he's always known. I'm telling you, Aisha, on authority that Godfrey Dame knows that he just did this case. He just added ACP Agordzo for political expediency to guard public officers. They just wanted to intimidate public officers so that public officers will not speak against the bad governance, Akufo-Addo's bad governance. That is what this case is about. I'm telling you, there's nothing else. There's nothing else. They've always known that there's no case against Agordzo because, as I told you, everything he spoke about centered around the Arab Spring. And an Arab Spring is not a coup d'etat. Arab Spring is not a coup d'etat. As how come when Akufo-Addo said Ghana is facing an Arab Spring whilst he was in opposition, nobody arrested him. Nobody took him to court. So why does he change the standards once he came into office?
So how long is your honeymoon, Mr. Kpebu?
Not fixed. Let's give by, I'm sure, in the course of next week, we would know. We need a bit of time. It's been stressful, Aisha. It's been stressful. It's been a long journey. So let's take it one day at a time. Yes, but the state has to pay for this. Maybe in the interim, what Akufo-Addo can do is that because Agordzo is retired, but the Constitution also in Article 199 Clause 4 makes provision for a public officer to be given more a contract. Yes, a contract even after retirement. Maybe you should look at offering Agordzo a 2-year contract, and then hopefully when the new government comes, they can also look at extending it.
Then you can rest your case.
5 years.
If that is done, you will rest your case.
Hopefully, yes. Then that one we can look at maybe holding on with the malicious prosecution. Aisha, the highlight of this case is that all public officers must rejoice that at least, or finally, the High Court has vindicated the right of public officers to speak on matters of bad governance. That is the highlight of this case. Public officers, be comforted in the fact that the High Court recognizes your right to speak on matters of governance. When there is bad governance, a public officer has a right to say that this is bad governance, and that will not amount to a coup d'etat. So this is a seminal constitutional law case on Article 21.
I'm grateful for your time. Martin Kpebu is lawyer for ACP Agordzo, one of the 6 who were arrested but has been acquitted yesterday. Grateful that you joined us. Let's get on to other stories because only 12 out of the 128 aspirants are women contesting the parliamentary primaries of the New Patriotic Party in the Ashanti region. This represents barely 9% of the total women participation in the political exercise. Minister of Communication Esla Owusu, along with Minister of Foreign Affairs Shelley Ayokobotri, stormed the Vericrum constituency to support Claudia Lumo in her quest to strengthen female leadership in Parliament. Here is a report by Clinton Yeboah.
The Oforikrom NPP parliamentary primary is fiercely being contested by 5 contenders, including 1 female. Female participation is seemingly very low in the NPP's internal contest, with a percentage of less than 10 in the Ashanti region. The incumbent MP for Ablekuma West and Minister of Communication, Esla Owusu, is taken aback by the low involvement of women. She admonishes party heads and delegates to prioritize female aspirants in Saturday's election.
It's absolutely critical that we improve the representation of women in Parliament. We're nowhere near enough. And so when you identify a potential strong contender, you give them all the support that you can. We should do more to protect the women who have braved the odds and overcome so many challenges to vie for political office. We must do more to strengthen them, build them up, and encourage them. And so I see in Claudia a potential strong female leader in this country. That's why I've left my contest to come and plead with the delegates in Oforikrom to help us by bringing her to Parliament and enabling us to also work with her. Our governance structures, even the executive, doesn't mirror the country. And it should, at least 30% of the seats in Parliament should be filled by women.
Esla visited the Oforikrom constituency to support Claudia Lumo, the only female in the constituency primary. Claudia is hopeful of carrying the day in Saturday's polls.
I'm just praying that the people of Oforikrom will see my good heart and see what I want to do, the kind of service I want to provide, and they vote for me. That's all I'm asking people of Oforikrom.
Notable NPP female party leaders were spotted on the campaign platform encouraging delegates to vote for Claudia Lumo. The list included the Foreign Affairs Minister, Shelley Ayokobotri.
Array on your government appointee. On board membership input. Also, when to me I work for curriculum. Obi say, Mutanechia on the Mojambo.
Reporting for Joy News, Clinton Yeboah.
529 delegates will decide the fate of the incumbent member of parliament for the Sisala East constituency, Amidu Chinia Isahako, and 45-year-old political science lecturer at the University of Ghana, Dr. Joshua. The duo have an uncle and nephew relationship. Joy News' Upper West Regional correspondent Rafiq Salam takes a look at the primaries in that region.
There will be a heated contest in one of 3 constituencies in the Upper West region, where the ruling New Patriotic Party NPP has sitting members of Parliament. Interior Minister Ambrose Derry goes unopposed following the disqualification of Alex Mould, who could not carry through his bribery and threat of having his name on the ballot for the Nondom MPP parliamentary primary.
That if it is the will of the God I worship, that I'll be on that ballot. I've told them I'll be on that ballot. Amen.
Ambrose Derry is seen by many as a minister and parliamentarian that brings more development to his constituents and the region at large in recent years. Though the people are heaping lots of commendation and encomiums on him, he rather prefers to put the credit to the people.
I owe whatever good I've done first to God and secondly to the good people of Upper West. You were with me when I came as regional minister. When I started the first fight of time, of Ambrose Derry time, the people didn't fail me. You call me super because wherever I go, I relate, my people relate to me well. any part of this region, they give me the respect. And as long as they do that, you see me as super. But in the end, I think the citizens of this region are the super people.
Municipal Chief Executive for Nandom, Raymond Nero, posited that the work of the Interior Minister, Ambruzeri, has endeared him to the heart of many, including members of the opposition NDC.
You don't need somebody to come and tell you that these are the works of Honorable Ambrose. Talk about the roads. The very first day in Parliament, when he just went, February 2017, we saw work began on our roads in Nandom. We've seen the young men who have been recruited. We've seen the boreholes. We've seen the schools. Everything is working in Nandom. Amidst the challenges we face in Ghana, in the country, things are working. It's just because of the man, Honorable Ambrose, we have. And so, anybody who is an MPP man in Nandom believes that or agrees with every stakeholder that Honorable Ambrose should represent the people of Nandom.
In neighboring Lambuse constituency, Dr. Yelvino Dombaligi is also going solo.
I might not be the best candidate, but I think my people that have flanked me feel that I have done some good work in the 3 years, and they think I should continue. But at a point in time, when they feel I have exhausted my ideas, they may come to contest.
Deputy Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Amiduchine Isaku, however, is not enjoying same luck in the Social Aid constituency as he is being challenged by a lecturer at the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana, Dr. Joshua Jebuntie Zato. Manu, this is a constituency in the last 20 years that has the penchant of changing their legislatures after every 4 years. Amiduchine Isaku is already aware of that and bent on breaking the 4 years political cycle. He believes that his record will show in the polls.
He's my maternal uncle. I mean, my mother and him come from the same home. But you know. No. There's difference between theory and practicals. This election is theory against practicals. I'm a practical politician who knows the terrain. My coming to the constituency to interact and to be with the people has been consistent. You virtually find me in the constituency every week, every 2 weeks, attending social gatherings and interacting with the constituents. I have not, stayed away from the people who voted for me, and consistently I have been with them. Beyond that, in terms of development, under the difficult economic circumstances as a result of the global pandemic, but Sisala East has gotten a good share of development in terms of roads. We are having a major water project that you yourself came and covered the handing over of site, and the contractor is in advanced stage of completing an over 18 million water project, which will take care of even population growth beyond 20 years.
Dr. Joshua Jebuntie Zato, however, averred that he is not a political rookie as claimed by the incumbent member of parliament. He opined that the constituency is sick and needs the service of a doctor which is ready to fill in with Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia.
So the whole country, the whole of the NPP rallied and said, look, we need a medical doctor, or in this case, we need a doctor to solve the problems of Ghana. They went for an astute academic, intelligent, smart man, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Well, the problem of Sisala is to now need a doctor. So Sisala East will choose another doctor, another astute academic like me, Dr. Joshua Jebuntie Zato. If the two doctors, and my position is number 2, think about it, it's prophetic. The gods of Tumu and the gods of our land, the Tumu here have ordained it. Number 2, we have 2 doctors standing on the bedside of Sisala East. In 2025, Sisala East will be healed. Development will come. Progress will come because the 2 doctors cannot fail Sisala East and Madagascar.
529 delegates will decide their fate on January 27. Reporting for J News, Rafik Salam.
The Electoral Commission of Ghana has been admonished to set and enforce policies and directives that are gearing towards peaceful election 2024. General Overseer of the Calvary Charismatic Center, Reverend Ransford Obing, says the Commission must undertake actions endorsed by contesting parties in the electoral process. He says fairness from the Commission remains crucial in the general elections.
So landscape is heating up as yet another presidential and parliamentary elections beckon. The Calvary Charismatic Center in Kumasi has joined several entities admonishing and advocating for peaceful elections. Reverend Ransford Obing is encouraging the Electoral Commission to discuss and implement measures that would ensure free, credible and transparent elections.
This year is a crucial year. It's an election year. And so I am encouraging all the parties and everybody that is a Ghanaian. We are known as peaceful people. The Electoral Commission, that any policy that will bring confusion, they should not. They should make sure that they set up policy that it will be difficult for anybody to do anything that will bring violence. Because when you are in soccer and the referee is not fair to you, it's very frustrating. So we want to encourage them. They should be as fair as possible.
The Reverend Minister made these comments addressing the media on the church's upcoming 3-day spiritual empowerment program dubbed the Start Well Conference. The program is slated to host Dr. Mensa Otabil, General Overseer of International Center Gospel Church, and other well-established men of God. Reverend Ransford Obing, who is hosting the conference, said,
"Great pleasure and honor for me to invite one of God's choicest servant and a good communicator of the word of God, Dr. Mensa Otabil, to come and start the year with us. You know, when you start anything and you start well, you are able to finish well. And so I want to take this opportunity to invite everybody that lives in the Kumasi metropolis. This is a great teacher of our time. Come and listen to him and your life will never be the same."
In the wake of disagreements about the government's decision to impose a new value-added tax on electricity consumers beyond the lifeline threshold, the Electricity Company of Ghana, the implementing agency, has raised concerns about the law imposing the tax, although ECG and the Northern Electricity Distribution Company had been directed to implement the tax from January 2024. ECG has said it is yet to implement it. Speaking on Joy News' PM Express, the Managing Director, Samuel Dubik Mahama, stated the ECG cannot merely respond to the letter from the government, especially when there are bottlenecks with the provision in the law that was passed as far back as 2013.
I asked for a legal opinion from the lawyers for ECG to find out if within the law, if this provision is right and if in its implementation and what it will mean. So let's not take it for granted to think that even the company ECG or government itself is not taking proactive measures to close this gap and to find a way out of it. If this law has to go back to Parliament for it to be looked at and reconsidered, yes, then so be it. It should be a consensus. So we need to actually applaud the TUC for what they are doing, and then also be clear that if the thing is not being implemented and there's a paragraph, the last paragraph says you should transfer the revenues collected from the implementation of the VAT on the subject matter as a domestic VAT collection. There are processes that need to be outlined. First of all, one of the biggest challenges that will come up is this. Are we charging the VAT on residential customers? If yes, are they on prepaid meters? Yes. So are you charging on prepaid meters? Are you charging per the money or the consumption? Because with prepaid, consumption is at the end of the day. Your consumption will be known at the end of the day because you are prepaying for something. So I will only know your consumption after you have consumed. So if I charge you the VAT when you are about to pay, that will not be fair if I'm charging on consumption. But at the end of the day, That means that if I'm to implement it at the end of the day, when you're about to purchase again, you actually have a debt that needs to be settled. So all I'll say is there's a lot of stakeholder engagement that has to go into something like this. Because so I see more of this letter as a letter setting in motion an inquiry into all of this.
The AC Managing Director is also questioning the framers of the law, insisting they have more to answer for the imposition of VAT on electricity.
The framers of that law, they need to be asked for clarity. Let's go back for the interpretation. Why did you pass this law?
That's Parliament.
Yeah, why did you...
Oh, you said that Parliament passed it?
Parliament passed it. So we need to understand, we need to get their understanding of this before we can go forward.
Based on what you now know, because you've done some work, and I just see this conversation started last year.
Yeah.
You actually commissioned your lawyers to look into this. I'm curious, what did your lawyers say?
If I'm charging VAT on a business, yes, you're using the power to add value. If you're doing, let's say, a business, you live in your home and you're running a business in your home, you should pay VAT because you're using it to add value. Mm. But the lawyers are also saying if you're living home with your family and all of that, then whoever wrote that law, we need to go back to that person, find out what was the mind behind you saying for somebody sitting in their home enjoying electricity, they should pay value-added tax. That's it. So the lawyers were saying, look, you need to go back for further interpretation on this because to even implement this, it will be very, very difficult. And I know for a fact that nobody is trying to cause any hardship. So that's why I know this wasn't sent with any malice, and I don't understand why it's calling all of them, because I cannot set this in motion without not going to my regulator, PURC.
Special Prosecutor Kise Jabe is currently addressing the press and updating us on cases that have been pending in his office. Top on the list will be Cecilia Dapa's case. Let's go live to his office, listen to the press conference.
Owner, that person may choose to do what pleases that person with that person's money. The important consideration is that the holder of large cash sums should be able to account for same as to the lawfulness of the source. Therefore, where the source of the money is cast in some considerable doubt, then legal hurdles are raised and questions are posed. On this score, the antenna of investigative authorities swing into inquiring activity where public officials are dictated to be keeping or moving large sums of money. This is because in almost every jurisdiction, including Ghana, it is extremely unusual and highly suspicious for a public to have such large cash sums stashed in their homes, as it raises concerns of suspected inappropriate conduct. And such occurrences dictate pause and reflection. It is in this context that the Office of the Special Prosecutor commenced investigation in July 2023 in respect of suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses regarding large amounts of money, mainly in foreign denominations, and other valuable items involving Ms. Cecilia Abena Dapa, a former Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources, and her spouse, Mr. Daniel Osei-Kuffour. Investigation was triggered by a complaint filed by Ms. Dapa and Mr. Osei-Kuffour to the police against certain individuals on an allegation of the theft of large sums of money from the residence of the complainants. Ms. Dapa was the Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources at the time. The complaint precipitated criminal proceedings in the Circuit Court, Accra, against 4 persons on various counts of theft in court case number D4155-2023, the Republic versus Patience Pochwe, and 3 others. The charges recounted that between July and October 2022, the accused persons allegedly stole valuable items from the residence of Ms. Dapa and Mr. Osei-Kuffour at Abelenkpe, Accra, including cash amounts of $1 million United States dollars and 300,000 euros. Initial complaint to the police recounted that 800,000 United States dollars of the amount reportedly stolen from the residence belonged to Ms. Dape's deceased brother, and 300,000 cedis was contribution towards Ms. Dape's mother's funeral, which was contained in a box. There was no indication as to the source of the remainder of 200,000 United States dollars and 300,000 euros. On the basis of case number D4155-2023, the Republic vs. Patience, Botwe and 3 others, and the totality of the criminal intelligence gathered by the Office of the Special Prosecutor, and that large sums of money were physically stashed at the residences of Ms. Dapa and Mr. Osei-Kuffour, the Special Prosecutor directed full investigation into corruption and corruption-related offenses involving Ms. Dapa and her spouse, in accordance with Regulation 6 of the Office of the Special Prosecutor Operations Regulations 2018 LI 2374, as the circumstances reasonably indicated to the office that the source of the cash sum stated as belonging to Ms. Dapa, a public officer at the time, on the charge sheet in D4155-2023, the Republic vs. Patience, Botwe and 3 others, was suspicious, and that the cash sums were suspected tainted property as being proceeds from corruption and corruption-related offenses. On 24 July 2023, the office placed Ms. Dapa under arrest on charges of corruption and corruption-related offenses. The office subsequently conducted searches in 3 residential properties associated with Ms. Dapa and Mr. Osei-Kuffour at cantonments, Abelenkpe and Tesano in Accra. The searches, which were carried out over a period of 2 weeks, led to the discovery of the cash sums of 590,000 United States dollars and 2,730,000 cedis. Ms. Dapa and Mr. Osei-Kuffour could not readily provide a reasonable explanation as to the sources of the cash sums. Authorized officers of the office seized the discovered cash sums on reasonable grounds that they were suspected tainted property, in accordance with Section 32(1) of the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act 2017, Act 959, as it was necessary to exercise the power of seizure to prevent concealment of the cash sums. The Special Prosecutor, considering it necessary to facilitate the investigations, issued a freezing order against the bank accounts and investments of Ms. Dapa, domiciled at Prudential Bank Limited and Societe Generale Ghana. Upon the refusal by the High Court to confirm the freezing and seizure orders in August 2023, the office re-seized the cash sums and refroze the bank accounts and investments and applied to the court again for confirmation. In FT 0074-2023, the Special Prosecutor versus Cecilia Abena-Dapa and Daniel Osei-Kuffour. Extensive investigation was conducted in-country involving 20 persons and 3 state institutions, and especially in the Ashanti region, to establish the financial standing of Ms. Dapa's deceased brother during his lifetime and at the time of his death, since it was alleged that a substantial portion of the cash sums belonged to Ms. Dapa's deceased brother. From October 2023, investigation became cross-border and transboundary upon the claim by the persons of interest that part of the seized cash sums was transported to Ghana from the United States. For that reason, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, of the United States became involved in a collaborative investigative work with the office on the matter. Investigation has been aimed at determining the sources of the large cash sums associated with Ms. Dapa and Mr. Osei-Kuffour. The office has had the benefit of 7 months of in-country and 4 months of collaborative transboundary investigation. Members of the press, on the totality of the gathered evidence and intelligence, it seems to us that the case is largely in the province of suspected money laundering and structuring. By operation of law, the Economic and Organized Crime Office, EOCO, has a specific and direct mandate in respect of suspected cases of money laundering and its attendant activity of structuring. Of the special prosecutor is referring the case to Yoko for continued investigation and further action. The office will be in close collaboration with Yoko and continued collaboration with the FBI. A little over an hour ago, the office discontinued its application that was pending before the High Court for a confirmation of the seizure and freezing orders in pursuance of the referral of the case to Yoko. The court ordered that the office should return the cash sums and defreeze the account of an investment of Ms. Dapa within 72 hours. The office also discontinued the procedural criminal charge against Ms. Dapa for failure to return forms on declaration of property and income, since that was mounted on the original application for confirmation of the seizure and freezing orders, which was discontinued earlier in time. Thank you very much, members of the press. If you have any questions. If you do not, I'll be glad to depart. Yes, sir. It's always Elton.
Yes, good morning, sir. And all the investigation that you have conducted, they basically come to conclusion that the Yoko will have to do further investigation in the matter relating to money laundering. The other aspects, the seizure, and then the confirmation that we're seeking the court to do. How do you sum it up? Does it suggest that perhaps not a thorough investigation went into it? That's how come all of this is up, because from what you've told us, the Yoko angle perhaps looks more promising in terms of going on with this case.
Elton, on the contrary, it is an extensive investigation of the Office of the Special Prosecutor with the collaborative work of the FBI that has led us to this conclusion. If the Office of the Special Prosecutor had a direct mandate by law in respect of suspected money laundering and structuring, there will be no such referral. But we operate within the confines of the law. And since the law that created the OSP did not necessarily grant such a direct mandate in respect of suspected money laundering, but the law that created the Economic and Organized Crime Office states specifically that they have a mandate in respect of suspected money laundering. Now, after 7 months of investigation, we have a body of evidence. So if we have come to the conclusion that it suggests, it seems to us that it is more in relation to suspected money laundering, then the proper thing to do is to refer it to the state institution, which by law has a direct mandate as stated in the Act. Yes, sir. The other day I delayed you too much. That's right. I remember.
Thank you. My name is Ibrahim Al-Hassan. I work for GH1 TV and Star FM. SP, suspected, it seems to us, that's not conclusive as a layman. Will you be surprised if Yoko finds otherwise after he goes into this particular case against Cecilia Dapa? That's one. The next one will be suspected issue of corruption. That was what triggered the investigation in the first place. Are we to say that today, as we speak, the Office of the Special Prosecutor has cleared Madam Cecilia Dapa of any corruption related to the funds you found in her home?
The lawyers will tell you that we guard our language carefully. It is only conclusive if a court of law so says the person has engaged in such conduct. For us as investigative and prosecutorial authorities, we can only use such language that suspected. That is why persons who are under investigation are suspects, not convicts. It is only where a court convicts a person that you can say that this is conclusive. And so it will be very unfair for us to be tagging conclusiveness to persons under investigation. Otherwise, it will suggest that we have already found them guilty. But that is not how it is done. Now, our referral to Yoko, as I said, it is a body of evidence that is being handed over to Yoko. So that will form the bedrock, the foundation upon which they will further build. Mind you, I said something in my short address that we will still be in the background doing collaborative work with IOCO and also with the FBI in respect of this matter. But if the law has specifically stated that this institution has a direct mandate, after 7 months, what more are we doing holding on to it when we can hand over? There's even precedent. You recall in the ABJ case when Shraj concluded its administrative inquiry, the matter was handed over to the Office of the Special Prosecutor for further action. It is this collaborative work which is required and stipulated by law which we follow. Otherwise, we will be lost unto ourselves. The Office of the Special Prosecutor does not clear persons. One, we are not a court of law, so we do not clear persons that we do not find that the person has committed anything or otherwise. So we are clearing the person. All the reports in respect of which you see that we are ending the investigation, it means that we have not found what the law will require of us if we were to carry it on further in respect of the standard of proof. So if we investigate the person and the evidence is such that it will seem to us that we will not be able to secure a conviction, there's no point wasting the time of the court and state resources chasing after. It will just be persecution and not prosecution. So we never clear anyone. We only conclude on what we have found, and then we go on with further action if need be. And we are always minded to end that if we become aware of something else, some fresh evidence or some fresh fact, we will always revisit a matter. So on that point, if the office becomes aware in respect of our collaborative work from now on of some other factor which requires us to come in fully, the office will do so. Yes, sir.
I'm Joseph Akabla, I work with TV3. The first question has to do with the intervening period between now and when IOCO takes over. I know that the whole idea of the freezing and seizure order was to preserve those assets and prevent them from being dissipated. The court has given an order. Are there any plans to collaborate with IOCO perhaps for them to hold on to it within this period? And the second one, there are those who also make the point that maybe at the initial levels, a careful analysis maybe would have led you to this conclusion even before you commenced. How do you react to those who say that from the onset they pointed you to this conclusion as one that you arrive at? And if I'm allowed to go beyond the boundaries of what you have addressed us on, is that allowed?
Let me finish this, then we can see if we will go there.
Okay.
All right. See, hindsight wisdom is always awesome. Those who are saying that are only doing so with hindsight wisdom, it's because we've had 7 months of such extensive investigation to come to the conclusion we've arrived at. You cannot begin a case when you cannot begin making conclusions on a case a week or two after commencing investigation. But after piecing together all your evidence and all the testimony and everything that you have done, something should then suggest to you. If after 7 months we did not have anything, we will just let it go. You get it? But after 7 months, I think that we should be commended that we've been able to do such extensive work and have international collaboration as part of this matter. That is to say, we left no stone unturned, and that is what is leading us to this outcome as I just announced. So once again, I will say, it is very nice to have hindsight wisdom, but we did not have the benefit of hindsight wisdom. We have arrived at the present wisdom through hard work and sheer grit.
The second aspect.
Oh, yeah. The second aspect is intervening period. But it's a court order. The court said within 72 hours. I just came from court. I just went to court and that's from court. So we'll liaise with IOCO and see how best this matter can be tackled. If you ask me right now for an answer, I'll not be able to tell you. Indeed, I'm not even prepared to talk about that, to tell you for a fact.
Whether I should go beyond the boundaries?
Right, you can ask. Then
yeah,
we'll see.
it has to do with.
We'll decide whether we should allow.
It has to do with the SML contract. In your recent report, you did indicate that it's a matter under investigation. I just wanted to find out. I know
say that again.
the SML.
Right.
Yeah, I know that when the office gets such complaints, you always undertake initial assessment to see whether it's something that you should go into. I just want to find out whether you've crossed that hurdle. And I'm asking because we know that there are other investigations like what KPMG is doing, for instance. I mean, is the office concerned about how that could affect the work that you are doing as well?
So, Akabli, I wish I could answer your first question, but it is our policy not to disclose the investigative steps until we are ready to come out to announce to the public. And so, unfortunately, pardon me, I cannot tell you which hurdle we have crossed and which line we've crossed in respect of the SML investigation. But definitely, the auditing being done by the firm KPMG would have a lot to bear on this matter. What they find, we will gladly receive and proceed further with our investigations upon their finding. Once again, collaborative work. There's no point after KPMG does all that to just ignore what they've done. So whatever they do will largely impact on the nature and focus of the investigation. Yes, sir.
My name is Charles Ozukumi. I work with City FM, City TV. My question is related to corruption and corruption-related activities in relation to elections. We know that you've been doing some work specifically with vote buying. The NPP's parliamentary primaries is coming off this weekend. Are there any measures the office has put in place to prevent this? And if it happens, how is the office gearing up for it? Thank you.
So there's a whole question and debate as to whether internal primaries are public elections. But until that matter is firmly determined by law, whether by Parliament or by the courts, you would notice that the office has not sat down waiting for a determination. And so anytime there is such incidents, depending on our strength in terms of manpower and our resources, we move in anytime there is such occurrences. So we are primed for all that. We are primed for all that. Indeed, our activities and our operations has prompted caution in respect of vote buying regarding delegates. Recently, there was a publication by one of the political parties warning its aspirants not to be engaged in such conduct. From this angle, we do not believe it was plucked out of thin air. We believe that it was based on the operations and activities of the office that prompted such caution. And so, as I said, we are primed and we are ever ready if we spot any such occurrences. See, it's not about a particular political party. To us, even if it is student-run elections, even if it is SRC elections are Legon, for us, we see them all as public. Unless the elections in your house. But if a generality of an identified group of persons are engaged in a poll, we take interest in it. So maybe even an association or organization, we take interest. As I said, until the matter is firmly determined that this is public election, this is not public election, we won't sit and wait. We are still going to work in respect of that till the matter is finally determined. I hope that satisfies, addresses your concern. Any other question? No one yet before Mr. Mr. Roby, let me take him before you.
My name is Joshua Amlan with the Business and Financial Times. I'd want to understand, with regards to the money involved in this investigation, to what extent is it determined in the investigation that the monies in there is due to money laundering, or to what extent is it genuine? can the office identify or explain to us what is any variation in terms of the two sets?
He indeed is with the Business and Financial Times. He's calling for a lecture. You know I'm a criminal law lecturer. I hope you are not calling for it. See, this is how we approach it. Simply, if we find money with you and you are unable to explain its source, then it raises suspicion. You get it? Now, if we were to carry a search on you based on a certain suspicion that you have some substantial amount of cash on you, and we come to you and, oh, I just took this from my bank account. I work here and this is how I keep my money. You are able to trace the source of the money to some lawful activity permitted by law. That is all. But we come to you and we see large cash sums and you are prevaricating. You are unable to disclose the source. Then immediately it becomes suspected, tainted property. Mind you, I didn't say we conclusively say you have engaged in criminality, but suspected, tainted property. From there on, then we start investigating as to whether indeed you lawfully came by these large cash sums or you got it through some illicit activity. That's okay. You are calling for a lecture.
So that's the Special Prosecutor Kise Jabing trying to update us on some top cases we've been following. Critical is Cecilia Dapa's cash saga, and he's been addressing some of the questions coming from journalists. That will be it for News Desk this morning. We're going back to the Special Prosecutor's office for more on the update. See you again at 12.
We should allow that question. I didn't see any objections. That's why.
Okay.
Mr. Rubik.
Thank you for the opportunity. I just want to, if there's an update on the payroll audit, which you announced at your last news conference with us, and whether you are getting the needed cooperation from those who are asking the question. And secondly, I'm just going through your half-year report, and the one that came up in June, the one that came up in January, almost a repetition of the many cases before you, and the ones you've come to a conclusion on, the Charles Dubois Hen, the issue about the other matters. My question is, there's been a lot of repetition in most of the reports that you've come up with, and Ghanaians have faith in this office to lead a fight against corruption. Should we continue to still have faith in you that the mandate you've been given will inure to the benefit of the country, in view of the fact that after the establishment of the office, clearly for a lot of people, we are yet to see clear-cut conviction on the many cases that are before you? Thank you.
The day you lose faith in this office is the day the soul of this country dies. See, the repetition you see is merely as a result of the period within which the law requires the office to report. 6 months. See, even when you are prosecuting a matter in court, 6 months, by the reckoning, it's like a day. You get it? If the law had required us to periodic reports, let's say 2 years, 3 years, you won't see this level of repetition. But what is so bad about repetition, especially when the matter is still pending and the matter is not yet resolved? And you would see that although much of it looks like repetition, there's always a slight update in respect of the cases. Some are moved up in respect of the level at which the office has gotten to and whether the office is going to take further action. So you see that case reported in June, that the office is still ongoing with the investigations. Then in December, you see that the office has concluded the investigation in respect of that matter, and that the special prosecutor will be giving further directions along those lines. it's just an update to tell you that between June and December of that year, there has been some conclusive points upon which the office can then further act. So you see that case repeated, but the notations under it slightly different from what you saw in June. Quick example is this one on the police recruitment back then. Consistently, you see it being repeated, but in December we reported that the investigation has concluded. So you see it running all the way from 2021, but its repetition in here doesn't mean that we are resting on our oars. And it is best if we keep reminding the public of these occurrences. Otherwise, you might see a case in there, and then the case vanishes from the report, and you don't even know what happened to the case. Then you'll be asking us questions. We've consistently been seeing this investigation, but you've omitted it from the report, and you didn't tell us the outcome of this. So I'll end again by, excuse me. See, it takes a while to investigate cases. And when you come to the conclusion that you have to take it